Today I'm going to be talking about how to learn from your losses in tennis. The best thing that works for me is just watching my highlights back, and those highlights could be either good highlights or bad highlights, but in general a summary of the match really allows me to see what I've done well, what my opponent has done well, and why I've lost it essentially. So what I'm going to be doing today is looking through my match last week in Sterling in the first round, where I played an alternate who stepped in at the last minute. There'll be a link in the top right where you can go check the full video out. I'm going to be basically talking through my thoughts in the key moments, what I could have done better, what my opponent did well, and anything that pops up, which is going to help me improve for my future games. So let's start off here. My opponent's had a very strong start on serve, going up 40-love in the first two service games, and I obviously had a bit of a battle in my first service game coming back from 40-love. Now my opponent was a serve and volley player, or a doubles specialist almost, and he knew how to play these courts, seeing that he was a university player at this university. So something I found early on is that he knew how to play the angles, knew how to play the court, and like this, knew how to come into the net, especially to my backhand. My backhand, I would say, out of my two shots is definitely the weaker of the two, and I'm trying to improve being more dominant on it. It's not that it's necessarily inconsistent, it's just when I try and pull the trigger, or perhaps I'm put under pressure, those are the two key moments where I really struggle on my backhand. Now here, serving in an ad position, he was able to get really good depth on the return and use his forehand. Of course, he did miss as well. He wasn't, inhuman, but I also made a lot of mistakes as well there. 15-love down in that game, so, giving him the opportunity again to go and take a big lead in each of these games. And of course, every game that you're 40-love down, your chances as a returner of winning that game are extremely low. So the first 2 or 3 points are super important, because the first 2 or 3 points dictate how much confidence the server has and how much chance you have of breaking. Again, like that was a perfect example of how my opponent was just unbelievable at the net, really putting away all of the balls, so I knew from the baseline I can't let him come in. Now we're at 3-2, we're still on serve, so I know the more games I can go toe-to-toe with him, the better it's going to be for me and the more chance I have of breaking later on. And here using the angles, coming to the net and setting up 2 break points. Of course, now on the break point I go for the drop shot, he gets there and puts the ball away. Now probably not the best tactical choice there. I mean, thinking about it now, he was standing about a metre or two behind the baseline, but perhaps I could have built with one more spin ball to his backhand and then gone for the drop shot, because obviously, like you just saw, he was an extremely fast player. And now again, he's back on serve at 4-2, again winning most of his service points on serve. I think if there was a statistic for service points won, he would definitely be higher than me, because I'm not making as many returns and not making him play as many balls on serve. He closed the game out there with an unbelievable drop shot, again adding to the fact of why I have to do a bit more damage and make him feel a bit more uncomfortable. Here we're in a rally, moving from side to side. He goes back cross to my forehand, and I'm just trying to change the pace, change the rhythm a little bit, try and get off my backhand. That's one of the main things. A lot of you guys in the comments saying that I should try to move the ball a bit more angles, and here putting 2 balls through the middle, giving him the opportunity to go to his inside out forehand. He of course missed, but a lot of the times he did make the ball. My dad's hands were in the way in this point, but stretching to that volley, he couldn't quite make it. So again, that's another thing. I think I could have come to the net a little bit more. I could have been a bit more, aggressive, impose my game a little bit more, try to step in, close off the angles, stuff like that. And of course, the more I'm behind the baseline, the more I'm going to have to kind of hit the ball with good depth and spin to actually do damage, rather than moving forwards, which closes the opens up, I guess, a little bit of the angles on the court and allows me to then come into the net. And my volleys aren't bad. I'm not a bad volley player. It's more the fact that I just don't feel comfortable coming forward to the net. But this is a prime example, or I would say I don't have the experience of coming forward to the net, and that was a prime example of coming forwards, and here again of closing out. So I should have done that a bit more. That's one of the main things I learned from this match. Again, even the serve and volley was working in the beginning of this second set. And something here that I remember from this match is he did a really good job in the pressure moments when he was down of sticking in this game. And here at 40-30 up, I did make a double fault, and that's super costly, and that's something that mentally I perhaps need to work on. I obviously double faulted in the match point of my first match, so just making sure I work on my second serve, making sure it's really robust in those key moments is super important. And he set himself up with a break point here in the first game of the second set, and it just shows you of how you're going from a position where you're up 40-15 I think it was, to a position where you're now down a break point, and that can really get in your head, especially at the beginning of a set. And here I'm thinking, make the ball, just try and make one extra shot, I know I didn't have a specific strategy on trying to do a bit more damage. I maybe should have been thinking, how can I open up the angles, how can I change the pace, and he hits a forehand winner onto the line. I almost thought it was, you know, floating long, so I almost left it a little bit there. And that's something, looking back on this now, I made quite a lot of errors long, and you know, he obviously was putting me under pressure. It wasn't like an unforced error or like a super easy ball. Just a few times I'm not there. That's a perfect example. I should have maybe stepped in an extra step, got forwards and tried to, you know, get into the net, even with the net cord there. And again, making an unforced error on the backhand side. So for me, looking back at it so far, those types of shots which I just hit there, really going for it a bit more, are the ones which are gonna allow me to win a lot more matches. Maybe I was just a bit I was a bit nervous. I was just a bit nervous in this second match. I obviously knew it's an alternate, I'm being filmed, I want to get some good content for you guys for the video, and that all gets in a little bit in your head. But I think overall the main thing was just the fact that he was the alternate, and of course I think that does play a little bit of a role in you know, the calls you make, the decisions you make as well in the match. And I think that in this match, I just didn't play my game against this specific type of opponent. I managed to get a game here at 2-1, hang in there. I'm thinking, you know, can I get the break back? Can I find a way going 2-2 or then 3-2 up? Because that will be super advantageous. I've obviously served first in the set, which is a big advantage. And here, using my forehand, that's what I need to do a bit more. Of course, again, missing long with the backhand, but an alternative or way around that would be to run around my backhand and try and play a forehand. Looking back at this in hindsight, definitely, even on a ball like that, that's definitely has to be a forehand. And as you can see, you know, with the forehand I can mix up the pace more, I can drive the ball more, and with the backhand more mistakes come. So that's going to be the one takeaway, the key takeaway from this one. Okay, 2-1 down here, 40 love down, and I just make another unforced error. So at this point, he's on a roll, he's making shots like that, and he's 40 up on my service game. He's really hitting his stride, and I'm really, you know, have the momentum against me. So it's going to be a battle now to see if I can almost turn it around a little bit, or what I'm going to, you know, do to try and change that situation. He's again looking to be aggressive, looking to come into the net, gets a net cord, and you know, trying to dominate with the forehand side, which is something that I wasn't doing. Look, I'm, you know, driving the backhand. That's not a bad backhand, but it's the fact that, can I make that, and is it repeatable? Again here, switching to the forehand, and he's just got to find a way of making balls, and he gets the unforced error. I went 5-1 down in the final set, 40-15 down. I knew I have to play some loose tennis. There we go, backhand up the line, get the error. I'm 40-30. I need to save one more match point. And this match point probably sums up the match in terms of like how ludicrous this guy was getting on the bit of luck that he had on his side. He gets a net cord there, I'm scrambling, and then I have an on top of the net volley and I miss. So I did lose this match. Of course, guys, I would love it if you guys subscribed and join the journey for the future tournaments. Lots and lots of events and lots of futures events on my road to 1 ATP point to come. So make sure you subscribe for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.